In the heart of history's labyrinth, where truth weaves into myth, there stands one name etched in eternal flame. Alexander the Great. A king, a warrior, a visionary, and perhaps, a mortal destined to walk among the gods. Join us on a journey, not only through history but through the very fabric of legend, to uncover the enigma of the man who dared to defy both gods and men, challenging the very boundaries of human potential. Our story begins in Pella, the majestic capital of Macedon, where a boy's dreams soared higher than the peaks of Olympus. But his childhood was anything but ordinary, for it unfolded against a backdrop of political intrigue, prophecy, and divine omens. Alexander was born into a world steeped in the weight of destiny, one that even the gods themselves seemed to shape. On the very night of his birth, as the cries of a newborn echoed through the royal palace, the temple of Artemis, a revered sanctuary, mysteriously burned to the ground. Many took this as a celestial sign, an omen that a force, a power beyond mortal comprehension, had entered the world. Yet, as powerful as the omen seemed, it only deepened the uncertainty in the heart of Alexander's father, King Philip II. Philip, a king renowned for his military genius and vast ambitions, gazed at his newborn son, filled with both awe and doubt. For even amidst the glow of the celestial omen, he could not escape the deepening suspicion that something extraordinary surrounded this child. Some whisper that, on one fateful night, King Philip crept through the shadows to Olympia's chamber. There, he witnessed something that shook him to his core, a serpent, coiled beside his wife in her bed. This was no ordinary serpent. To Olympias, it was a symbol of divine favor, one that many believed was none other than Zeus himself, who had come to her in the form of a snake. Soon after, Olympias proclaimed that she was pregnant with a child who would become legendary, Alexander. Though this story was wrapped in the veil of myth, it planted the seed of doubt in King Philip's heart. Was this truly his son, or was Alexander, in truth, the son of a god? Olympias, unwavering in her beliefs, nurtured this notion, feeding her son with tales of his divine origin. She spoke of prophecies, of oracles who had foretold his greatness, and of his destined rise to power. This notion, that Alexander's very bloodline was touched by the divine, shaped him in ways few could understand. As he grew, so did his ambition. He felt destined for greatness, not as a mere mortal, but as one touched by the gods. At the tender age of 20, after the tragic assassination of his father, Alexander inherited the throne of Macedonia. But what awaited him was far more than the simple leadership of a kingdom. His eyes turned eastward, toward the vast, untamed lands of Persia. There, a powerful empire lay under the rule of Darius III. To Alexander, Darius was more than a king. He represented an obstacle, a force that stood in the way of his destiny. He saw himself as the rightful heir to an empire far grander than Macedonia, destined to stretch across continents and change the course of history. The first clash between the Macedonian forces and the Persian Empire took place at the Granicus River. With his forces outnumbered and the enemy's defenses seemingly insurmountable, Alexander displayed an audacity that stunned everyone, friend and foe alike. He led his cavalry through the treacherous waters of the river, cutting through the Persian lines with unmatched skill and bravery. The battle was brutal, but Alexander's strategy, though daring and reckless at times, proved to be the turning point. His victory at Granicus sent shockwaves through Persia and proved that Alexander, though young, was a leader of unmatched resolve. As Alexander's campaign continued, so did his thirst for victory. He next faced Darius at the Battle of Issus. The scale of this confrontation was unimaginable. Darius commanded an army so large that it seemed to stretch across the horizon. The battlefield was chaos, clouds of dust, the roar of battle, and the clash of shields. But Alexander, ever the tactician, led his companion cavalry with ferocity and precision, cutting through the Persian lines with unyielding focus. The battle ended in a resounding victory for Alexander, forcing Darius to flee the battlefield, leaving behind not only his family but also immense wealth and treasures. This was not just a military victory for Alexander, it was a statement: no one, no king, no god, could stand against him. Yet, conquest was not without its challenges. The siege of Tyre was one of Alexander's most grueling campaigns, testing both his patience and his resolve. Tyre, an island city, had resisted every attempt at assault. Alexander, however, refused to back down. For months, his army toiled under the blazing sun, building a causeway that stretched into the sea. The Tyrians, defending their city fiercely, used fire and cunning to repulse the Macedonian forces. Yet, Alexander's will was unyielding. When the city finally fell, it was a testament to his persistence, a victory that cemented his reputation as a man whose determination could move mountains. But it was at the Battle of Gaugamela that Alexander's true genius shone. Darius, realizing the threat Alexander posed, assembled an army of colossal proportions, bolstered by war elephants and chariots with scythed wheels. The battlefield shook under the thunder of hooves, and the air was thick with the cries of war. Yet Alexander, ever the strategist, saw an opening. He led his cavalry in a daring charge straight through the Persian lines, exploiting a weakness and shattering Darius' defenses. Once again, Darius fled, his empire crumbling in his wake. The Persian Empire, once a vast and unassailable force, was now broken. But as Alexander's empire expanded, so too did the toll it took on his soldiers. His men, weary from years of continuous warfare, longed for home. The pressures of leadership began to weigh heavily on Alexander, and his once loyal generals began to question his decisions. Dissent simmered beneath the surface, with some wondering if the king's insatiable thirst for conquest had gone too far. The march into India marked the breaking point for Alexander's army. The unfamiliar terrain, the fierce resistance from local kingdoms, and the exhaustion from years of campaigning made it increasingly difficult for his men to continue. When they refused to march further, Alexander was faced with a rare moment of vulnerability. In an unprecedented act, he acquiesced to their demands and ordered the army to turn back. It was a turning point, revealing the human side of the man who had been thought of as invincible. It also showed the tremendous toll his ambition had taken, not just on his empire, but on the very people who had helped him achieve it. Alexander had conquered lands that no man before him had even dreamed of, but the weight of his empire was staggering. His once unshakable ambition now felt like a heavy burden, one that had isolated him from the people he loved and trusted most. Even in his greatest triumphs, he was haunted by the prophecy that had followed him since childhood, a constant reminder that his destiny, however grand, was also a heavy cross to bear. The legend of Alexander the Great endures, a story woven from the threads of glory, ambition, and tragedy. It serves as a powerful reminder that greatness, while sought after by many, often comes at a cost. Alexander's tale is a perfect illustration of how the line between hero and myth can often blur, as one man's quest for power and immortality forever changed the course of history. His legacy lives on, not just in the lands he conquered, but in the ideas he sparked, the cultures he melded, and the future he shaped. So, we remember Alexander not just as a conqueror, but as a symbol of the eternal struggle between ambition and humanity, between the divine and the mortal. His story challenges us to reflect on our own pursuits, and to ask ourselves, what price are we willing to pay for greatness? I hope you have enjoyed and gained something new, and that you have understood the deeper meaning behind the story. I also hope you will support us by subscribing to the channel and engaging with the videos we offer you with all our love. I would be delighted to hear your suggestions for stories that I can present to you with great joy. Wishing you a wonderful day.